Eagles talk. We are back. Another Birds win in the books, but this one was a little tight. So we'll talk about it. A lot to talk about. A lot of good moments in this one. We'll have Les Bowen on with us, with Bowen on the Birds as usual, and we'll get into other Week 9 news. So let's get to it. Let's go.
You love the Eagles, let me get a hell yeah! You love the Philadelphia Eagles, let me get a hell yeah! Philadelphia!
Eagles Talk A2D. We are brought to you by Baggio's Bread. They are located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, home of the best stuffed breads, tomato pies, sandwiches, cutlets, meatballs, yada, yada, yada. Mention A2D for 10% off your in-store purchase. We are live. It's your boy Chucks. It's OGP. It's PY. And it's Brinks. Gentlemen, how are you feeling after yet another Eagles victory? Fantastic.
I'm feeling all right.
I think I would fall into the camp like Dan Orlovsky said. Team is very talented. Don't trust the coach still in the midst of a 4-game win streak.
Well,
Understatement of the century.
We will definitely get into that. Especially with our poll question, our opening poll question. But a lot to talk about, and I'm sure we're going to have a lot of disagreements, and definitely want to see what Les Bowen has to say. But our poll question tonight, to lead things off, the Eagles should stop being this aggressive on 4th downs and 2-point conversion attempts. Agree or disagree? Pete, because you are here for only a limited time. So, Mr. OG, can you give us your thoughts on the poll question?
But of course. I would have to agree if you're up by more than 2 scores. Like, kind of have a sense of the game and the sense of the momentum, and especially I can understand what he was trying to capture yesterday, but here's the thing, and it's being talked about a while. Obviously, the first 2 parts of this win streak against the Giants, against the Browns, but the Bengals, Joe Burrow threw for 5 tutties yesterday. This defense has only given up 4 touchdowns in the past 5 games. Defense don't need a lot of points right now, fam. Defense doesn't need a lot of help right now. Ride with the momentum of your defense. And this is where it's hard not like to on a blanket surface like this, because there may be situations where he needs to be aggressive. I think the biggest thing is it's hypocritical. It's like you zag when you should zig, and then you zig when you should zag. I don't understand it. Like the 4th-and-1 play. Like if you knew you were going for it on 4th down, like be more aggressive with the call on 3rd. Like I don't understand it. And you just give points away. Like we all said, we're sitting here saying 7 minutes left in that game. That game should have been 31, 22, 30, whatever. There should have been a way if Nakobe Dean doesn't make that interception that we lose the game. That should have never came into play. It's just like week 2 against the Falcons, Monday Night Football. That should have never came into play. You single-handedly, you got away with one. The defense bailed you out, but you easily could have cost your own team 2 games at home. At home. So, like he needs – I completely agree to the poll. Just be more mindful, man. Like, understand. You have a high-paid kicker, because I think Jake Elliott is towards the top echelon of the kickers in the league, and you want him to come out and kick a 57-yard field goal, and he ice cold. I mean, this man didn't even have a chance to kick extra point attempts. You know what I mean? He's going out. He's either going out in the blaze or a glaze. I'll let you let he's going out in the blaze or a glaze, man. They do, Martian, but it shouldn't even came to that, bro. That's the whole point. Whether he was down, he wasn't down. The head coach himself in that key spot. Take the points. Take the points. We're not like I don't understand what the analytics says at that point. If it's 16-0 in this situation, in this quarter, this down, and this distance, this is where you at. The 2 points is that much of a higher success rate than versus the field goal. The first one I understand. The first one, you get them offsides, you're closer to the end line. You can get them in for 2-point conversion. I understand that one. The third one made no fucking sense. Not kicking the field goal made no sense. You know what I mean? So I don't know, but that's me. That's just me.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to go second because I always let you guys first. So I'm going to go in there because I have a lot to say about that. I absolutely, on the other hand, disagree to this poll question. Okay. Definitely disagree because here's the thing: you can't pick and choose when you're going to be aggressive. You can't. Like no one for the 2 4th 2.
So you're disagreeing for the same reasons why I wanted to disagree.
No, but the two attempts at the 2-point conversions, right? Where we did the brotherly shove, right? The first one was in. They miscalled that. So that was in. But okay, we'll give you that one. It didn't work. The second one, it didn't work. But the thing is, it's 1 yard. It's 1 yard. And you can't, everyone, no one can deny this. No one can, I don't want to hear any disagreements of this. No one can deny that we all bragged about the brotherly shove being nearly unstoppable. So if you're going to brag about the brotherly shove being nearly unstoppable, then you can't complain when out of like a fluke circumstances it gets stopped twice. Okay, like it's not you can't be results based. Your opinion can't be results based. It's the process. It's like, okay, 1 yard, let's get it. And the aggressiveness is like you say, I understand your point in saying that, okay, like the defense is playing well, there's no need to to chase points. That's not like I could easily say like, well, because the defense is playing well, you have the luxury of taking those risks because that's who you are. You are an aggressive team. Ever since Doug Peterson came in, like back in 2017, well, even 2016, we've been an aggressive play caller. We set the trend in the league for going in on 4th downs, and Nick Sirianni continues that. Like the only time where I had issue with any of the calls, and I didn't have an issue with any of the decisions. The decision to go for it on all of those 4th down conversion attempts and all of those 2-point conversion attempts was fine with me. The only one I really complained about was the 4th and inches call where they ran a bootleg play action instead of just doing the shove. Like, don't get too cute. And I posted a breakdown of the play on Twitter if you want to check it out. But like, it's getting too cute. It's overthinking it. It's 4th and inches. Just do it. I don't care if they stopped it twice earlier. Just do it. It's been your bread and butter in those situations. Just go for it. Don't get too cute. All right. So that was the egregious one. The other one that I think should get more attention, as opposed to the 2-point conversion calls, was when they right before the 3rd down before they had Jake Elliott kick the field goal, the 57-yard field goal attempt. It's 3rd and 4, and they run it. Like that's to me is also egregious. It's like it's 3rd and 4. They're stacking the box because they know they need to stop the run. Why are you still running it? Go be aggressive. Like everyone wants to complain about like being conservative, just take the points. Well, we were conservative there and it bit us in the butt. Like be aggressive and throw a slant to DeVonta. Do something on that play instead of just settling for a 57-yard field goal attempt. And I don't blame Jake Elliott either, because like you said, he was, all these long field goal attempts as he's had, like he's cold. So like I don't put that on him. You know what I mean? So like those are the 2 plays and situations where I had an issue. I don't have any issue. Even like when DeVonta scored that touchdown and we tried the 2-point attempt, it's so that we can go up by 14. If you kick a field goal, if you just kick the extra point, you go up by 13. It doesn't do you anything. There's no difference in the 12 to 13 point deficit. You attempt it so you can go up by 14. So again, I want to end my rant by saying I do have question marks still about Sirianni. That hasn't changed over the past several weeks. I still am concerned about some things, but I don't think this was the game to really rehash that. I think a lot of the noise is overblown, and I think that there was more concern after the Bucs game over Sirianni than there should be right now. I think it's it's a matter of being selective and using results to base your opinion on what happened. I don't think that's fair to Sirianni or to Kellen Moore, because Kellen Moore deserves blame in this too. If he's calling the plays in those situations, he also deserves blame. So I don't. Again, that's why I disagree to the poll. Let's go to Brinks. You next. What do you think?
I think Nick Sirianni being aggressive is fine. Nick Sirianni being reckless is not fine. Nick Sirianni is not an aggressive head coach at this point. He is a reckless head coach. He's selfish. He doesn't know how to read the game, and he wants to make it all about him. This football team has come a long way since Green Bay and Brazil. Jalen's playing well. They found an identity. The defense is clicking. And this guy, for whatever reason, just can't get out of this team's way. You cannot turn your nose up at points every single time you have an opportunity to put 1 point or 3 points on the board. You can't do it. The Eagles dominated the Jacksonville Jaguars yesterday. I don't know what they've found with this inside-outside zone running scheme, but it's working, and it's working very well. And Jalen Hurts is clicking on his deep balls. Everything's working except the sidelines. It's like just you can't do that. Then you're down 22-23. You're an improbable interception away from a middle linebacker down the field in coverage from potentially losing that football game. That's on the head coach. You can't go for it every fourth down. You can't. You have to kick field goals when you have the opportunity to in the red zone. Like Pete said, it should have been 31-23 or something like that.
At least.
And then it doesn't matter. You can play the prevent defense and let Jacksonville score a touchdown. It has no bearing on the game. Nick Sirianni is selfish. He's reckless, and he just has no situational intelligence on when it's right to be aggressive and when it's reckless. It's going to cost this team games against good opponents, and I just don't understand why he has to just prove to everyone at every chance by doing just defying logic. Every chance this guy gets, he defies logic and wants to make it about himself. He's a weasel, he's selfish, and he's reckless. I don't like him one bit.
I don't know about the weasel part, but a lot of that.
He's a weasel.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy I'm going last. I'm so happy.
So, PY, you go, and then we're gonna bring Les on after your answer to the poll question.
So I don't think anything would have mattered. I think people would have still found ways, like Brinks does, to throw insults. Weasel, he's selfish. It's ego driven when it comes to Sirianni, because people are in their feelings when it comes to Nick. I understand that you think he's being too aggressive at times. When Dan Campbell does crap like this, people go over the moon with it.
I beg to differ.
Not
I beg
true
to differ.
at all.
People, yes,
I
most
defended
people go
I defended
crazy for Campbell. Everything he does. Oh my God, that's a real coach. That's a man's man. Look at what he's doing. He practiced 3 hours a day.
Go ahead.
Yeah, his teams are tough too.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. He was tough 1 year. They weren't tough the other years, but hey, they're tough the year they make it to the NFC Championship game.
I'll go on a tangent to just get to your point, so we can bring Les on.
But no, I understand the anger with Nick at times, but him being aggressive doesn't make him a weasel. Him being aggressive doesn't make his decision ego based. He went for the first time because of the penalty. They went to another time because of a penalty. If you want to get mad, I'm annoyed that at 4th and inches, they didn't do anything. I would have gone with the brotherly shove regardless. They're not getting rid of it. It's a 95% success rate. 4th and 3, I wouldn't have gone for it. That annoyed me. But other than that, there's not really any decisions in the game to where I'm angry at Nick Sirianni to the point where I'm calling him a weasel or an insult fest.
Well, the thing
anything.
And there's someone to get us out before we bring Les on. PY, you said a lot of things that are very, very correct. Here's my problem. there has been times, and it's a pattern of behavior with Sirianni to where he feels like, and for him, if this, we've all seen it. We've seen Jordan in the last dance and say, I had to be this type of teammate to get the best out of my team. If he feels as if he has to be this type of coach to get the best out of this 2024 Eagles team, cool. There's been times where he's been aggressive from the beginning since he's been here. But here's the problem. The play calls matched up better. If you give me 3rd and 4 and you run that, or you run the bootleg on 3rd and 4, and then instead of running it on 3rd and 4, you run it and hand it off to Saquon on 4th and inches. My problem is, and I'm not even going based off of results, I can give two fucking shits about the results. All I'm sitting here saying is there should have been no way Trevor Lawrence, regardless of the refs or not, they could have gave him 2 touchdowns. There should have been no way in the 4th quarter with under 2 minutes to go, Trevor Lawrence should have been on the R20-yard line with a chance to take the fucking lead. That single hand, you can have as many bad decisions as I want. Just give me one good one. Just kick one field goal. Just kick one extra point. You don't have to do it every time. And here's the thing. He hasn't done it every time. You go back to the Super Bowl year, it was very, very, very selective when he did it. And here's the other thing. We're sitting here. You mentioned the brotherly shove, tush push, whatever the fuck you want to call it. The tush push ain't the same as it was last year. You can see Jalen. How many times last year do you remember Jalen falling off to the left of the tush push with Jason Kelsey was in front of him? Don't worry, I'll wait. He used to go right behind him. Now he's looking as a distraction almost
not
to
all the
try
time.
to find the gap.
Not all that. Maybe not as high, but
That's what I'm saying. You couldn't see him.
They
Yes.
always leaned left. They always leaned left.
But like you said, he was a lot. Like you can almost see Jalen's full back now. He's almost standing up to the point. And I don't know. Obviously, you're gonna lose a great player. Cam has been doing fine, but in that situation, Cam ain't Kels. It's not going to happen.
I think it's more so to your point. I think it's more so, to be honest, the drop off from Mailata to Fred Johnson. That's the difference.
It could be.
That's the difference. And now let's bring in Les because he's been in the background for a few minutes.
I've been sitting here thinking about things I was going to say, and PY said several of them, and now Chuck's
there we go.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
So
let us know, Les. What do you think? I based on what I see on Twitter and your text to me earlier today, I think me and you are in agreement. But I'll let you go. What do you think?
Well, Nick annoys me a lot. But I don't think it's just about being aggressive. I mean, here's the thing about 2-point conversions. If you score 4 times and you go for 2 every time and you make it twice, you've scored as many points as if you kick 4 extra points. And I think every time they give you a penalty and it's a 1-yard 2-point conversion, that's probably, I think most coaches go for it there. I don't think very many coaches don't.
Yeah,
you have to do it, and you have to, I don't think it's a problem. I don't think they should stop being aggressive. I think there were several problems yesterday. One was they had some bad play calls. The first one was the 4th and 3.
Yeah.
It was a pass to AJ, and it wasn't like a quick slant. It was a slower developing play that really didn't come close to happening. I didn't think.
Yeah.
Is that the one they
inches? 4th and inches. Just run the tush push.
Let's run it.
Yes, they didn't stop it. They didn't stop it that well. First of all, the first 2-point conversion, he absolutely crossed the goal line. I can show you the screenshot. You had 2 plays in that game where Gene Steratore was surprised.
Yeah. That
replay didn't go the Eagles' way. Mm-hmm. If replay does go the Eagles' way, which I think it should have in both of those instances, it's like a 30-15 game.
Yeah.
Frankly.
Yeah.
So I think Nick's taking some flack for that too. I mean, which really he didn't have any control over, obviously, but he puts himself in some ridiculous situations, ending up having to try to kick a 57-yard field goal to put the game away. There had to be something you could do there. I didn't feel good about that. Yeah. I mean, obviously you had to try the field goal there, but you've told the kicker to sit down all day long. He doesn't even do the kickoffs. You haven't been kicking extra points. Yeah. You haven't tried field goals. Jake, go out and hit a 57-yarder now. It's only November, and cold and nighttime. Yeah, what the hell? And he only missed it by an inch, but nonetheless, Nick, I agree with my florid-faced upper right-hand fellow that Rob, that Nick doesn't have a great feel for. You do have to think about how your team, what the temperature is of the game, not the outdoor temperature, but how this is going and what you expect, the mindset is and how everybody's feeling. There has to be some kind of feel for that. But I don't think he made terrible decisions on whether to go for it. I think he made terrible decisions on what plays to run.
Yeah.
If those were his.
Yeah, if that was
his calls.
Nick or is that Kellen, we don't know for sure, but like I agree there. I have more issues with the play calls. That 4th and 3, I leave that up for the debate. Like I didn't have an issue going for the 4th and 3, but I can understand if hey, just take the points. Yeah. It's not like it's 4th and 1, 4th and 2.
Right.
Like it's 4th and 3. Like it's
I would have supported kicking a field goal there.
Yeah.
Was that
but
the
if
play?
You're going to go for it on 4th and 3. You
right.
need a slam dunk play that's just boom, boom, like the one that Saquon dropped against Atlanta, which should have been a slam dunk play.
Yeah,
you don't try to get the ball over to AJ over here somewhere on 4th and 3.
It was when I looked at that play on the film, it was a slow developing play that was there. But the thing is, I think I want to see what smarter people say about it. But from my takeaways, I thought Jalen was a little late to it.
Is it the play I'm thinking of? Is the one where they were moving from right to left and he tried to hit AJ on the deep crosser, and it looked like just from the TV angle. I haven't seen the all 22, but even from the TV angle, it looks like that throw was there before.
Yeah, it was if he had thrown it earlier, or if that ball, I think that's a situation where you don't want to put touch on it. Like you want to kind of
get it out there,
it in there, because by putting touch on it, the defender was able to cross face and catch up and make a play on the ball and undercut it. That's why I think that's a little bit on Jalen, but I could be wrong. I'm waiting to see what other people think about it, but yeah, that's leaving that up for failure is what you do in those situations when you, like what you said, Les, you call a longer developing play. It's like it gets a little more hairy.
The sequencing isn't right, and also not to put it all on Nick when it comes to Elliott's field goal. That was also the play where Saquon slid down early before getting the first down. So take that into account as well. There was a couple. That throw right there for Jalen for me was one. The second one was the one that Johnny Wilson got called with the little ticky-tack OPI. He's 6'6", Jalen. Can we high point a ball, please? Can we just high point? So can we it wouldn't hurt, because then once again we talk about his ball placement has been better past 4 games, hasn't turned the ball over. Get that. CPOE, completion expected over whatever. You know the stat I'm talking about, the CPOE stat or the COPE stat. Completions over expectation, whatever it's called. So
yes,
he can do that. It's just we need to everything needs to marry it up so much better, because we can beat the Jags and we can make these mistakes, right? You see, the Falcons is a better team. We didn't come out on top of that one. The Saints, on the other hand, we lost. We almost lost. This was very similar to this game. Yeah, we put out a win. We're getting November 14th. Listen, I'm not looking past the Cowboys this Sunday, but I'm kind of looking past the Cowboys this Sunday. Next Thursday is it for me, because I want these some bitches watching the Commanders to get put in their place. Like, you can't say what I can say. I can say this. I can say these things. They got lucky on the Hail Mary. The Giants played a lot better. They gave a 22 when we only gave them 3, and now they get the Steelers off the bye. And what do you do when you have a Steelers team coming off a bye? NFL, what are you trying to do? Do you not want Jaden Daniels to make it a Thursday night? You made the Steelers a 3-point underdog or 2.5-point underdog. What has the Commanders shown you from an offensive perspective and the defensive perspective to control TJ Watt? I don't understand what's happening here. And I know I'm getting way ahead of myself, but it's just one of these things. This reminds me of like 2017, 2018 Cowboys, where all this love, Jalen Daniels getting MVP this, MVP that. Like, listen, dog. Like, is people not seeing what I'm seeing? Like,
No,
and
I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it.
Okay.
I'm seeing it. Like, trust. And remember, I threw this stat out weeks ago with Cliff Kingsbury. His teams start off hot, and then second half of the season they fall off. So we shall see.
Yeah.
Les, we got a question from Martian. He always comes with good questions for you.
Okay.
He said, "Yes, I know Jalen has looked amazing in the last 4 games, but do you trust him, or is it more Nick holding him back with those dumb play calling?" Unless you can answer, and then we all can kind of chime in as well.
Yeah, he's been very efficient. It's early in the game again yesterday, though. You saw, like you mentioned, the 4th and 3 throw that could have gone sooner. You still see a lot of plays like that. You still see a lot of plays where he has a lot of time to throw, and he ends up running around back there and throwing the ball away. And I've said this before on here, I haven't really covered an Eagles quarterback that if you don't – most good quarterbacks – and Jalen is a good quarterback, I think, but most good quarterbacks, if you give them a lot of time, they're going to really hurt you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like he ever does. The longer he has back there, the less happens, it seems like to me.
Mm-hmm.
And some of that might be on the receivers. I mean, they showed the routes one time yesterday after he took a sack, and I saw a bunch of guys just sort of trotting out and stopping and turning around.
Nobody working back to the ball.
Nobody working back.
There was no scramble drill or anything like that. So it's a complicated answer. I don't quite trust him. I mean, I think he's a good quarterback, and I think he's found a way to minimize, to be efficient, and to, get rid of some of the things that were really making him look bad. But I don't see breaking through. I don't see him really looking in full command of everything yet. I don't think it's Nick. I don't think Nick is really calling that many plays. I don't really know, but it doesn't seem that way to me. I do think he still has a long way to go, and I'm not sure that he's going to get there. I mean, I think he's going to be a good quarterback, but I'm not sure we can project him where we'd like to see him at this point.
PY, what do you think? In short, do you trust? I know what you're going to say. Your answer is, but go ahead. Do you trust Jalen or not?
Yeah, I trust Jalen. Like what he's shown me in the last 4 weeks is his willingness to improve, his willingness to be smarter with the football. Are there a few plays that he'd like to take back, or maybe could have thrown a little bit quicker? Yeah, sure. But I think not having the offensive lineman that he is used to, like not having Mailata there is a big deal, and not having Fred Johnson. Yeah. And Fred Johnson, like I thought he was going to like step up and be better. He's been suspect the last few weeks. Like,
well, he had a tremendous game against Cincinnati. Yeah. He was unbelievable. I don't think Mailata could have done any better than Fred did against Cincinnati. But it seems to be with Fred, it seems to be one of those every other week things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yesterday he was not good. And the week before Cincinnati, he was not good. And, it's that's. Did we have any sense on Mailata? I know Mailata was on some radio show tonight, but I didn't.
Yeah, he was on WIP.
Yeah. Did he say anything about his leg?
Well, I know he's on IR. So
Well, he's got one more week, and then technically they could start him practicing, right?
So he can play theoretically, he can play against Washington.
Yeah, but the key there is, how bad is this injury really?
Mm-hmm.
Is he going to be ready to start practicing after Dallas, or is he not? And if he's not, some of these games could get real hairy, I think. But anyway, Fred, not the. There's a reason why he's not a starter for a good team in the league.
Yeah. Brinks, do you trust Jalen?
Yeah, I mean, Jalen, my biggest beat with Jalen was the turnovers, which wasn't just a first 4 games thing. This was dated back to last year. It's 4 games in a row where he hasn't turned the football over, and the Eagles have won all 4 of them. So, I don't have any beef with Jalen right now. None.
Pete, do you trust Jalen?
His downfall is going to be anticipation and not trusting his arm. For whatever reason. I think right after that 4th and 3 play, watching red zone, I think if it was the St. Brown touchdown that Goff threw, like, like I go back to that 4th, like, where your route is, the offense, if you throw it to a spot where he's supposed to be, and it looks like he has a clear path to be there, so you can give any XYZ receiver. Trust that against the good teams, the better teams, you have to take that. I'll go back. I'll pose this question. Do we ever see him get back with his arm and throwing the football like he was in 2022? Do we ever see that Jalen again? Do we ever see that 3rd and 10 barreling down in the Super Bowl? He's hitting Dallas Goedert on the out. He used to hit those throws. Those balls came out before the receiver was actually open. And I'm not saying, when I say anticipation, it doesn't have to be like, hey, get here. But sometimes what Drew Brees, what made him so well and so good was he just threw it to a spot. Either get better ball placement on them balls that you don't understand or you don't trust that your man's going to truly have them beat, and get it to a spot to where, like Trevor Lawrence's placement on the Nakobe Dean interception. He threw that to the only spot that his receiver could not get to it. That was a poorly thrown ball. That was very underthrown. Hats off to Nakobe Dean for being in the right place at the right time. Jalen, if he wants to, where we want to get him to, he's going to have to, and mentally between the ears, trust that and get out of that. And he has done it because, to Brinks' point earlier, I think earlier in the season he was trying to do too much. And now he's truly taking what the defense gives him. We're not going to be batting 1,000, right? That's not what we want. I'm watching the game with some people yesterday, and every play, and I'm like, dude, you go at your job, and you every day, 7 days a week, when you at your job, every task that you do is ace perfect every time. You're not making no mistakes. No quality control. That's not how this works, but that's what some people want. I don't want that. I just know, and we all can kind of see it coming down the road. And these next stretch is the fact that, hey, against maybe a Commanders defense, maybe against definitely the Steelers defense, maybe the Ravens defense, if they figure it out, these throwing lanes are going to get tougher. And then now with AJ being questionable, this is his 2nd time this year dealing with some type of banged up injury where he may miss time, he may not miss time. So, and for whatever reason, now we got DeVonta just running go routes. He could be used so much more than that. But hey,
well,
it is what
I think to your first thing is, will we ever see Jalen get back to 2022 Jalen as a thrower? I would attest that we're starting to see that now. Like when I'm looking at the film, I'm starting to see anticipation throws. And him and Smitty in I was it during interviews or press conferences or whatever. They actually said like that ball on the touchdown pass, Jalen doesn't see Smitty. He just knows that Smitty, they've repped this a million times, and he's throwing to a spot where he knows Smitty can get it. And so that's you're talking about that trust and anticipation, throwing to a spot. He's doing it. I think as the more we go on and the more comfortable he gets in the system, we're starting to see progressively like he is starting to trust certain things. And we are seeing Smitty used on crossers, on being used in motion. Like,
was it a touchdown was it 2 weeks ago? He had that deep crosser touchdown.
Yep.
Home.
From the slot. He scored the touchdown. And then we're even using him in the backfield. There were plays where he was lined up in the backfield, starting out. And so like there is creativity, and I think that's what's hopeful is that I think we can all agree, before we move on. I want to move on to the defense for a little bit. But I think we all can agree that Hurts is never going to be a prolific pocket passer like the Joe Burrows or Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. Like he's never going to be that. That's not his game. But that doesn't mean he can't be a good QB. The reason why I trust him is twofold. One, he's already shown in big moments and clutch situations he can come through. And two, I feel like whenever he goes up against tougher competition, and especially when there's a top tier quarterback on the opposite side matched up, he always steps up and he shows he belongs. Yeah. And those are traits, those are intangibles that you can't really quantify with stats. So I that's why I trust him, not necessarily because I think he's an elite quarterback, from the pocket, but it's more so because I think based on how he performs when needed, he is a winner. Not because of wins and losses, but because he steps up when you need him to more often than not. So
I agree. One thing real quick before we go to the defense, I forgot to mention that one little quibble I have with him, he has great trust in AJ and Smitty. He has worked with them so much, and obviously it's a great thing. He doesn't trust a lot of other guys. You saw what Dotson could do yesterday with that incredible catch he had, but did you ever see him get the ball again? He's out there on the field. I think there's some people that are thinking that Dotson isn't playing. He's out there on every down. They just don't ever throw him the ball. And I really think a lot of that is Jalen. I just think Jalen, doesn't have that sync with him yet, and just isn't going to do it. And you can run Johnny Wilson out there, and you can run. That's why the offense struggles so much when AJ is out. Is Jalen's not willing to do the same things, with other receivers. It kind of is what it is, but I wish that was something he could fix.
I do wonder if the trust in Dotson will increase as the season goes forward.
Might need an off season for that. I don't know. But I hope it does.
It's also hard to develop trust with a wide receiver you've never played with before. Had no camp with, no preseason. Like you're asking him to throw him in like big game situations to someone he has no practice with. Calcaterra is another great one. But they also have
that's a good point there. I honestly think, and I think I might have said this last week, he might trust Calcaterra more than he trusts Goddard, really.
They have the OSU days together.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. All right, Pete, I know you have to head out. Any final words before you sign on?
No. Hopefully we'll do it again next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. But no, I love it. And the great ones never trust. They never cared about who was catching the ball. Aaron Rodgers, when he was in his prime, never cared about who was. You had your guys. You got your guys at crunch time. But that second or third quarter, you needed somebody to get a rhythm. All the greats did it, right? And it's just like, hey, this is what we need. The team is trending in the right direction. They're starting to find identity. And let's just keep this thing rolling. Like I said, November 14th, boy, it's a big game. It's a huge game. Yeah, I'm looking past the Cowboys because now
past the Cowboys, man,
bro. Because if Dak's not playing, Mike is not going to play. And truth be told, I don't think since Jalen's been the quarterback and since Sirianni's been the coach, they haven't won in Dallas.
Not since 2017.
Yeah.
Right.
Think that changes on Sunday.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's big, but I'm not. That's why I'm not overlooking them. So
I'm not. When I say overlooking, here's the thing. I'm to the point now. I'm not worried about the defense.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about the defense against that team. I'm not worried about the defense giving up more than 21 points. And I have faith in our offense to score more than 21. So that's why I'm saying it's not like I'm looking past you. Like the defense has earned that right in the past four. And because you can see it, right? You can see they're getting that stigma where after you play the Steelers, that next week is tough for you. After you play the Ravens, that next week it's tough for you. We're seeing teams feel better about not having to face the Eagles defense. We seen the Giants only put up 3. Then the next week they played Monday Night Football and almost beat the Steelers. Then they played the Commanders, who everybody is so hot for, and put up 22.
They did.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you look at the Bengals. The Bengals only scored 17 in their own house. Yesterday, Joe Burrow stepped into LSU gold to get purple and gold again and threw for 5 touchdowns. They put up 40. So you can see teams like they're like, okay, we couldn't take advantage of this last week. And honestly, hats off to Mayo Magic and Quinyon Mitchell. Somebody I heard, I don't know if this is the actual nickname that came from him, came from somebody else, but they said Guantanamo Bay. That's what I'm hearing right now. Guantanamo Bay.
That's from my boy Pierre over at Philly Blitz.
Guantanamo Bay. Because when you can do that, and it allows Fangio to be more free with everything else underneath of that. And who knows, 24 hours from now, there's something else going on, but it's also the NFL trade deadline tomorrow. Who knows, there may be a new pass rusher on this team.
So I'd really like to see that, boy. Did you guys talk about the Bryce Huff thing?
No. I'm going to listen. I'm out of here, boys. Okay. Have a great night.
Peace out, bro. All right, so let's allude to that because Martian does say, he does ask, how on earth did the defense only have 2 sacks on an awful and injured Jags O-line? Yeah. So, you talked about the Bryce Huff rumors that he's being shopped around. I don't know about that. I looked up his cap. It's going to be hard. But let's say this, because with the trade deadline looming tomorrow, before we get into positive, we talk about the defense, because they played another great game. Are you looking for to trade for an improvement on the defensive side of the ball?
Yes, I would love to see another edge rusher. Like I said, it doesn't have to be Myles Garrett or something, just a good rotational edge rusher who can, get in there and do some damage. The question from Martian is a good one. Lawrence was holding the ball more early, and they got him, and they went to a very quick hitting passing game. And for whatever reason, Vic Fangio doesn't like to play press in those situations where the ball's coming out quick. And, it makes it kind of easy for the offense sometimes. I don't think the defense did a bad job after they started getting it out fast, but it definitely, you weren't getting the pressure. You weren't getting any pressure at all, and you see some teams that even if the quarterback's getting it out fast, they're still pushing it. They're still hands up, tipping balls. The Eagles, if the ball's coming out fast, you don't know that you even have a defensive line. It's frustrating, and I do think that's something needs to be addressed.
Brinks, what do you think? Are you giving up? Are you trading for an edge rusher?
I mean, I am. Anyone who can help. I mean, I've heard Zadarius Smith from Cleveland. I've heard Arden Key. I think he's on the Titans these days. But I don't know. You kind of got to get it right, in my opinion, with the guys you have here. Bryce Huff's not getting traded as much as we're all
it's not happening.
You just signed a $50 million contract. I think he's the 5th or 6th edge rush paid passer in the whole league. He's not getting traded.
Nobody's going to want to take that contract. Yeah.
And he's not living anywhere close to his contract. But remember we traded for Robert Quinn a couple of years ago, and everyone was like, wow, he had 20 sacks in 1 year. This is going to be great. And it doesn't really work out. These really you got to find it a Joe Blanton, like the Phillies did in 2008, where it's not the biggest, sexiest name, but he's going to come in and he's going to fit your system and he can help. So I don't have a name. I saw Budda Baker. I feel like I've been reading that name.
I would take Budda
for 5 years now with Budda Baker coming to the Eagles. If you want to get him,
where would he play? Who would you play him?
Where would he play though?
I'll tell you what I read on the internet. It's got to be true if it's on the internet, right?
But he's not an edge rusher, and you can't. You don't need a safety. I mean, you have two.
Well, I've heard him linked to receivers too, which I don't agree with. Yeah. So it's all out there. But
a receiver. I mean, if AJ's going to keep getting banged up every couple weeks, but again, Jalen doesn't like to throw to receivers he doesn't know. So
exactly.
It might be useless.
No point. But I'm not letting a 4th, 5th, 3rd round draft pick prevent me from upgrading my team. I'm not hoarding draft picks when I'm paying my quarterback $255 million and we're in win now mode.
Right.
That's if you're paying your quarterback $255 million, you're in win now mode, Super Bowl or bust every year.
Yeah.
And
the thing that happened yesterday was supposedly he had some sort of hand injury come up in warm-ups, which is after they've released the inactives and all that. So you can't put him down for the game and put somebody else up. So he was active for the game and he played 6 snaps. At least a few of them were late in the game when the game was in doubt. And it was kind of perplexing. There were people who don't believe that he actually hurt his hand, but why would you have him out there in crunch time if you're trying to hide him, if you just don't want him out there? It's very strange. And, a hand for a pass rusher, obviously you have to use your hands.
Yeah.
But it's not like a knee or something where you can't, you can't possibly do anything. I thought Huff had been playing a little better lately, so I was very perplexed with it, frankly.
My BS meter is sky high on that hand injury, in case anyone was wondering. Sky high. I don't think it was true at all.
Maybe we'll see if it's.
But again, why was he out there late in the game if they didn't want him out there? I mean,
that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it, Les. That's the beauty of it. We'll see. Like, we really like him. We had him out there in crunch time. Now, here, take his contract and just give us some low-level draft picks. We love him, though.
One guy that was all over the field, though, to go into the positives, I mean, Zach Bond.
Yeah.
Woo! Like, pay him
Both
ASAP.
linebackers were tremendous. That was probably the best game for Eagles linebackers in 15, 20 years.
Less
Football Focus is
any connections you still have with the team. Can you please just find some way to let Howie know that Bond has to be signed like yesterday?
I think he probably sees that, and if he doesn't, Fangio's probably Fangio brought Bond in here. And I would think Fangio is going to make that call for him, but who knows? We've seen guys leave before who could have helped.
Yeah. I did want to get to Brian Pumper did send a super chat.
He did say that.
For Huff is on the trade block. You just missed it. We just talked about it. It's going to be tough to trade him, man. A lot of dead caps, and
the only
his
way
value isn't high. It's not like his value is high. So. Yeah, it's
the only way you trade Huff is if you're getting like a big piece. Like the only way you're trading him and taking that dead cap hit is if you're getting a guy like Myles Garrett. You're getting a guy like Max Crosby to where you're kind of using it to offset some of the cap.
Yep, exactly.
And if you're trading for Max Crosby, you're trading Huff and your first round pick and something else.
Probably more. So like that's if we're going to talk, because Mr. Wing does say Eagles will have to give up a first for Garrett. You think they do that? To be honest, it's going to cost more than just the first.
Oh, God, yeah.
Either Garrett or Crosby, it would cost more than just the first.
And I just don't think either of those guys is going to get moved. They're not going to be traded.
You have 30% of the team. Who gives a crap?
But yeah.
Whatever they want, I would give up.
I would give up, but I don't think it's what's happening.
Yeah, that's true, Chris. They did have good linebacking in 2017. I don't know if they made as many plays as these guys. Mm-hmm. Nigel Bradham played really well, and Hicks played well until he got hurt, and then
Michael Kendricks
came in. Kendricks was kind of the forgotten guy. He had gotten into disfavor, and he came back and really played well down the stretch. So, they did have pretty good linebacking in 2017, but none of those guys were on the team the next year.
Yeah, cool, look at that. SJM does says the CBS broadcast team put up a stat. First game since 2003 where two Eagles linebackers had interceptions.
I think it might have been 2001, actually, but
2001, okay.
It was Carlos and Jeremiah. I think I've said before, Carlos is one of my all-time underrated. He was a great player for that Jim Johnson defense, and they missed him terribly when he left. And they never really replaced him. As much as people talk about the middle, they never had another outside linebacker who could cover tight ends and do the other things Carlos could do. And Carlos played hurt too. He was really a warrior.
Mm-hmm. He did. He was. Before you head out, Les, because I know we're running low on time with you, but the secondary again showed up big time, especially the corners. I mean, our corners of our lineup of Quinn Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, and now with Isaiah Rodgers playing in place of Slade this past week, and he played well.
Right.
It's really exciting to have a corner room like this yet again. So it
really is. And what I see going forward, so I don't think Slade's going to be here next year.
I don't. Yeah, he won't be. I'd be shocked.
I would make sure Rodgers is here next year.
Yes, yeah.
I like DeJean in the slot. I don't think it's a crime to keep him in the slot. That's an important position.
He's locked down.
Oh my God, yeah.
And he has made such a difference versus the run and the pass.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can play Rodgers and Mitchell on the outside and keep Cooper DeJean right where he is.
Yes.
I just don't see any need. I don't think DeJean is going to, make you move him outside so he can make more money or anything like that. I think that's the move to make. I think Rodgers is a good player. And now that I've said that, Cooper Rush will beat him for 5 touchdowns Sunday. But,
I'm right there with you, Les. I'm right there because when I was scouting him for the draft, I had said like Cooper DeJean can be an elite slot corner, and I think there are still like a handful of people who think they hear slot, whether it's wide receiver or corner, and think it's like a demeaning term, or like you're lowering their value. But it's not into this game. Like, look at Brian Branch, who plays in the slot. Look at Devin Witherspoon for the Seahawks, plays half his time in the slot.
Yeah.
Look at Kyle Hamilton, who's a hybrid. He plays safety, but he comes down like in the slot. Like, it's so important. So 100% right with you. Cooper DeJean in the slot, you need to keep him there. It is a perfect spot for his skill set where he can do so many different things and impact both areas of the game. And yeah, we talked about Zach Bond getting extended. Isaiah Rodgers should be extended too. And you can see he's already loving the city of Philadelphia. He's endearing himself to the fans. So like, I think it would be great to extend him as well.
And I was just looking it up. DeJean played 96% of the snaps yesterday.
It's crazy.
Played 50. So he played 52 out of 54, and one of the ones he wasn't playing was the Avonte Maddox play.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for Avonte. I think I've made no secret. Avonte was one of the guys I liked when I was covering the team because I thought he was an overachiever as a 4th round pick, guy who kept getting hurt, kept coming back and playing his heart out, but he has not been good this year. That was his one play yesterday. It really sucks that they picked on him, on that one. I mean, it's got to be hard to come into a game in the second half and they throw it along to your guy down. But he didn't.
We couldn't have had Sidney play that one play. We couldn't have Sidney Brown then for that one play.
Yeah, I agree. I agree completely.
Yeah. Dynasty, before you go, Les, Dynasty does bring up Dahani Jones. Remember?
No, not a fan of that guy. No.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, he was a nice guy.
Oh,
but as a player, no, I didn't think I thought he was overrated. I think he was a guy that he played for the Giants and he presented himself really well and had like a cool thing with his
he had the bow tie.
Bow ties and crap, and I think people really, as a player, he was pretty average, I thought, but nice guy and really, interesting person to talk to. They had a lot of they've gone through a lot of linebackers like that. They attract guys like that at linebacker who are, the Chris Gokongs and the, just guys that sort of, okay.
Mark Semino, remember him?
Mark Semino.
That was Jim Johnson's favorite guy. I've told that story before. Jim Johnson thought he had
Deshaun Foster gave him a piggyback ride into the end zone from about 15 yards out in the Carolina NFC Championship game.
Yeah. Mark was really undersized. He was not. He was a great special teams player. He was famous for blocking a punt that won a playoff game for Atlanta against.
I remember that. Yeah.
And but okay, Ike Reese can do that too. I mean, and Ike was not a wonderful man.
Whatever happened to Ike Reese?
Not a great linebacker. Just not big enough at that point. Today's game might have actually suited Ike a lot better if he was in the league today. Yeah. He was fast and very undersized and smart. And I think there probably would have been a place for him on defense that there really wasn't 20 years ago. But so it goes.
There's another one.
All right.
Gardner.
I think he's all right.
Barry
Gardner.
Oh,
second round, I believe it was. Second round of 90.
Awful player. They picked a guy in the second round. I think he was from Oklahoma. His name was Quentin Caver.
Yeah.
And he was awful.
You know, that I
Awful.
think both of them might have been second rounders. If I'm not, am I wrong about that? But anyway, yeah, Quentin Caver. When I first started covering the team in 2002, I didn't, I was looking around the locker room and I didn't know who these guys were. And there's this guy who's just built like
Fridge.
a bodybuilder. He's giant shoulders, bulging biceps, tiny waist, abs like a washboard. It was Quentin Caver. He couldn't play. And that year, their special teams got off to an awful start. They were having like kicks run back against them and all this stuff. And John Harbaugh actually went to Andy Reid and said, "Look, I need somebody, and we've got to get rid of Quentin Caver. I'm sorry. I know you drafted him, but he's terrible." They cut Quentin Caver and signed Keith Adams off of Dallas's practice squad. And suddenly they had no more problems on kick coverage.
Yeah. Oh, the names. And then, of course, Casey Matthews, the other brother. Oh, yeah.
Stuart Bradley, Mr. Wing brought up Stuart Bradley was a
he could play.
Stud, but he always tore his ACL.
Well, he tore his ACL in the first ever when they moved out of Lehigh. They were really, at that point, they were really concerned about fans adjusting to not being able to go to Lehigh. So they came up with these link practices. Remember, their initial rhetoric was they were going to do several every year and, make sure everybody got to see. Now they do one sort of begrudgingly. But, they did the first ever one. Stuart Bradley destroyed his ACL, and he was never the same player.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Because he played in 2008, and he was an animal. That's the year they lost to the Cardinals in the title game.
Yes. Yeah.
He had everything. He was big. He was fast. He was smart, but yeah.
Yep. It's a shame. But we've got good ones. And, of course, we've got another good one in Les Bowen. Les, thank you again. Every week is a blessing to have you. We appreciate you. And
thanks for letting me drone on and on like this.
Of course. It's always good. Always good. And we will see you hopefully again next week another win. Yep.
When people are either going to be really happy or really, really, really pissed. One of the two.
Yeah. I'm going with the happy, Les.
It's Cowboys week. All right, Les. Have a good night, and we'll talk to you.
All right, guys. Good to talk to you.
See you, Les.
Bye, Les.
Les Bowen.
I mean, next week stinks because, it's a lose-lose. Like, the only way you win is if you win by 50 points. If they don't win by 50 points, everyone's going to be mad because Dallas is banged up. If you lose, the sky's falling. So the only way, if they lose to this team without Dak, that's a huge problem.
That's really bad. Oh yeah, that's really bad. Like you can't. That's why I'm trying to tell people, especially Pete, let's not overlook anything. It's a divisional rival. It's the Cowboys. We're playing in Dallas, Austin. We're playing there. We haven't had much success lately over there. Let's not overlook anything and take anything for granted. We still got to go out and win. And to me, I hear your point, but just personally for me, I don't care if we lose by, or if we win by 50 or if we win by 5, just freaking win and move on. At this point, just get a damn win. And I'll be okay. Any other stuff from this game? We highlighted the defense, the offense. I mean, we didn't. It's been beaten to death. I'm surprised we didn't bring it up sooner. But I have a video breakdown of the play coming out soon on A2D socials.
I saw it.
It's
out today. It's off today.
It's off today. Okay.
Nike official.
That Saquon leap is absolutely insane. I just want to say it's insane. It's bananas.
It's on the human.
It's unreal.
That's an NFL blitz play that you do where you have full turbo, you're on fire, and then you're just jumping up 50 feet in the air and going backwards.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane. To be able to have the instincts, the physical ability to do that it's going to be highlighted and remembered forever. They're going to be talking about 100 years from now when NFL is playing, and they're going to be showing highlights of that play. It's going to be amazing. But it's Saquon's unreal. 199 scrimmage yards for him. Anything else you wanted to highlight?
MVP of the league. MVP of the league is Saquon Barkley.
He should be, but you know the league, they don't do.
They're going to give it to a quarterback, probably.
They're gonna
I
give
mean,
it-
Josh Allen's killing it. Goff's killing it. I don't know who's going to emerge as the
Lamar.
top quarterback, but if you had to vote right now, like it's Saquon without a question. Is anyone my closing thought would be to you two and the chat out there. Is anyone else concerned besides me that, we have everything figured out? Quarterback stop turning the ball over. Saquon Barkley, the run game is your identity. The defense is playing great. And they've won 4 games in a row. And every single freaking week, we have to get on here and talk about our idiot head coach. Does that concern anybody besides me?
No.
It concerns me. Like I said, I've never stopped having concern about Nick overall. I think my concerns have just been, what's the word? Tempered, because like I've seen some improvement in him. So like they've never gone away. So it's always going to be in the back of my mind. I'm always going to be a little bit concerned about Nick Sirianni. But again, like I said at the top of the show, my concerns aren't nearly what they were after the Bucs game. Like I think that I understand the problems, but I think that, overall, I still think there's reason for hope with him moving forward. But it is still a concern. Yes, I'm still concerned.
Well, Chucks, I mean, like, are your concerns eased because Jalen isn't a turnover machine anymore and they run the ball like they should, and the defense is playing better between the lines? Like, Nick Sirianni didn't become Vince Lombardi in the last 4 games.
I think
his flaws have been his flaws for years. And we talk it overshadows the good things this team does way too much.
Well,
it's a problem.
To your question, like I said at the top of the show, I think the issues with people's issues with his decisions to go for it this past game, I think they're overblown. And I'll repeat that. I think they're overblown. So I don't think there's nearly as much that he deserves criticism for that many of the people are making it out to be today. That's me. If you disagree, then you disagree. But that if we're talking about my level of concern, that's why it's been appeased a bit. And 2, we did see the quote from Lane Johnson. I mean, it's funny how Brian Baldinger was the first one to say it in a reply on Twitter, and then Lane Johnson came out and confirmed. Like Lane and some other of the players on the O-line, I think he said, they went to Nick and during the bye, and they told him, they voiced their opinion about how the team needs to lean on the run game more, and we're seeing that. And I think that the fact that Nick listened to them is what is helping me be not as concerned, because he's shown to have open ears, and not only like have it come in one ear and out the other, but like he's shown that like he took his players' voice and opinion to heart. And if you guys watched Saquon's interview on the Pivot, Saquon was someone, he admitted he was someone who couldn't stand Sirianni, and he even said at times now there are times where he can't stand Sirianni, but he also says that Sirianni has an open door policy. He always listens and is open to what the players say, and I think in that respect, not from an X's and O's respect, I think from the aspect of being a player's coach and being able to relate to players like that, the players have the players. He has the players' respect in that regard. So again, overall, do I believe in Sirianni to be a great head coach? No, I don't. I still have concerns, but those are the reasons why my concerns aren't as high as they were weeks ago. That's why.
Okay.
Yeah. And SJM says, typically you and I see Sirianni is a problem. His ineptitude is dwarfed when the Eagles win mainly by Jalen not turning the ball over. I don't want to deteriorate, or I don't want to diverge from the fact that I still do think Sirianni is a concern. All I'm saying is, weeks ago after the Bucks game, I wanted him absolutely fired and Kellen Moore promoted. I came out with the poll question that said so. What I'm saying now is, okay, like, he has improved. The team has improved.
Things change.
He deserves some credit for some of the improvements. Again, they came out and said that the players went to him, said they need to run the ball more. So he made it an effort to hey, we're running the ball
But
more.
it's like, okay, like, we'll run the ball more, but I
But he
still
doesn't
got to
have-
find a way to put my
But he
I
does-
still got to find a way to put my stamp on this game so everyone knows I'm
That's
the
not
Eagles
how
head coach.
egotistical. But that's not how egotistical people react. An egotistical person who only thinks about them is going to be like, no, that's not going to work. We're going to do things my way. It's my team. It's my offense. Blah blah blah. People who
Which
are
is why
looking
he's a
out for-
weasel. Which is why he's a
not a
weasel.
weasel.
PY.
That doesn't make him a weasel.
Yeah, it doesn't
that
make
makes
him
him
a
a
weasel.
coach who is looking out for his players, who is listening to his players, taking what they are saying and being like, you know what? This is for the benefit of the team. I'm going to do what's best for the players, and I'm going to adapt. That's what good coaches do, not weasels, good NFL coaches.
And SJM,
So with all these
talked
reps,
about
so
this-
basically what you guys are telling me is they're going to have to flat out lose a game because they leave points on the board because our head coach is an idiot for you guys to fully raise your eyebrows on this guy's
no. Again,
being a buffoon.
You're going too far into what I'm saying. I'm going to hammer on the point, and SJM, I addressed your comment here. Like, I talked about that at the beginning of the show. Quickly, I'll say again, I don't like you. I don't have a problem with them going for two. It's from the 1 yard line. Just use the tush push. Use the brotherly shove, because everyone has bragged about how it's nearly unstoppable. Why are you going to stop? Why are you going to go and diverge against it just because of results? That's not how I look at things. So that's that. But two, I think, Breaks, again, you're reading too much into what I'm saying. End of the day, yes, I have concern about Sirianni. That's the overall point. That's my overall arching theme is here. I have concern about Nick Sirianni. I'm concerned. I do not believe in him as being a great head coach. I do not. And if there's one reason why this team doesn't win a Super Bowl, I'm going to be pointing to Nick Sirianni. So I let that be the main point that I'm getting across. What I am saying is that there have been some signs of hope because of what has transpired the past several weeks, and the fact that he actually did listen to his players and made philosophical changes to improve the team. Regardless of that's Jalen not turning the ball over, or regardless of if it's Kellen Moore calling the plays, you still have to be fair and give Sirianni credit for that. For that, you have to give him credit for that alone. And so that's why my level of concern has gone from like a 10 for where it was like 3 weeks ago to like a 6 or a 7. That's all I'm saying. Like, I'm still concerned. Does that make sense? Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, I'm going from a 10 to a 7.
And my concern level is a 13 out of 10 with this class.
Okay.
Shocking.
I mean, there's not. I mean, I think it's
like,
again.
I don't know how else to put it. The guy's immature. He's too emotional. He wants to make it all about himself with these reckless decisions. That's what I see when I watch.
That's all on you, though. I don't think that's anything to do with Nick Sirianni.
Really, because like 87 people in the chat agree with me. So I'm not alone. You can say I'm wrong and you don't agree with me, but I'm not the only one with this opinion.
Well, there's some people in the chat that did agree with me too. Like Martian was on my side too.
I hear you.
I'm what I'm saying. Like, I think it's not fair to not put into account what the team has improved on the past 3 weeks and not give Sirianni any credit for it.
Like if they've been the same team for 4 weeks and nothing has changed, you could be like, all right, this is proof that Nick is not the guy. Nothing is changing under him, and we need to look in another direction. They flipped the script. with him, with his decision making, with him at the helm. And you can like it or not, you can call him emotional or whatever, but I'm like, it's resonating. It's resonating with the quarterback. It's resonating with the team. Their willingness to fight for him and their willingness to defend their head coach tells me everything I need to know.
Well, he's also very clever in the sense that he has made it significantly clear and made it very confusing for the fans on whose offense this is. Is it Kellen's? Is it Nick's? Is Nick calling these good plays? Is Nick calling the bad plays? What's Kellen Moore doing? They've been very clever in like clouding that. And maybe that's
it's Kellen's offense. Nick is just a man in the sense that he'll take the blame for when Kellen makes a bonehead call.
Yeah.
To take the hit because that's what he does. He's a player's coach. That's what player coaches do. They go out of their way to take the bullet when they shouldn't because they don't want their guys to be under fire. Whether it's a player, whether it's a coach, whether it's big freaking Dom, who cares? Like Nick will take that hit.
And Mr. Wing, saying the national media agrees with Rob isn't something.
That's not saying much. That's
not saying much. A lot of national media does get a lot of things wrong and like they're very inconsistent. So again, I think I want to hammer home the point for the 500th time is that I still have concern about Nick Sirianni overall, but it's unfair to not give him credit for improvements the team made. It's just not fair. They were in a worse spot. They looked worse weeks ago than they do now, and to not at least say, okay, like he has done some good things, is being ignorant to what he's done. Like I don't think there's an iota of selfishness in him.
No.
Like he's doing like PY, what you said. If he was selfish, he wouldn't have listened to Lane and everyone else. But he doesn't have that type of ego. Like he's willing to do what his players think is best for the team to win. And I think that I think his weaknesses come when it comes to X's and O's, okay, and outthinking himself sometimes. So there are problems with him still. I just don't. I think
his biggest weakness is he gets too jacked up and forgets what the heck's going on and makes reckless decisions that keep points off the board. I have no problem being with a coach being aggressive. I have no problem with it. Yesterday was reckless. And they almost lost because and a more capable team would have won that football game.
But it wasn't a more capable team.
Should have.
And the more and they we didn't hammer home the fact that there were really like they gave them 8 points. That fumble should not have happened. So that's a big reason why it was close. It was closer than it should have been.
If we were given those 8 points, we didn't give up those 8 points. Are we talking about his recklessness?
No.
If that first
coulda, woulda, shoulda to my point, so I'm going to say that to your point. Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
But
they got the short end of the stick, and 8 points weren't on the board.
That's not what your comment is here is definitely incorrect because the players they said Lane flat out said it. Lane and some of the players went to Nick and said, we need to stick to the run more. And look what they've been doing the past several weeks. They've stuck to the run. So this is what I'm saying. Like if you have an agenda and you can't get out of your own emotions, then you're no better than what you're claiming Nick is.
Exactly.
Like if there's again, I don't know how I gotta say this. I do not believe in Nick overall, but I'm also going to be objective and fair and saying he's done some good things. So like, okay, like I'll give him some credit. That's literally all I'm saying. Like it's not me trying to defend Nick and say that, oh, he deserves to be the coach for the next 5 years. Or that like he's the main reason why we're winning. He's not the main reason why we're winning, but he deserves credit for some improvements. That's literally like I don't understand how me saying just that is getting all this reaction. It's like it's calm down. That's all I'm saying is calm down.
You can't complain about Nick being overly emotional while us as a fan base is being overly emotional and ignoring facts.
That's such a cop-out. It's his job. It's my job to coach the team. I don't get paid to do this either. So my emotions will be wherever I want. He makes a lot of money to be the head of the franchise. And
he's putting the head of the team first instead of the ego.
Of the time.
But Mr. Wing, how many coaches around the league, and I don't remember, I don't know for sure how much you honest to God pay attention to the league. How many coaches in the league don't are able to get out of their own way? Not a lot. There are so many coaches who can't get out of their own way, who can't see and don't listen to their players. Dennis Allen just got fired for similar reasons. Like freaking Robert Saleh, whether you want to say that was fair or not, like there are coaches who get fired. Doug Peterson got fired here because he didn't want to subside, like he didn't want to not do things his way.
He's about to get fired a second time for the exact same reason.
There are so many coaches who don't see the error in their ways until it's too late. The fact that Sirianni is one of the coaches who actually will listen is a credit to him. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
But
And
then, he does that. He listens to his players, and he finds new ways for me to get aggravated and take away from this team's successes. It's every week.
But you're always angry.
But again, this is where me and you disagree, Rob. I do not have an issue for most of the decisions from this past game. That's what I think. I think they're being overblown. And Les agrees with me. So if you want to talk about national media, Les agrees with me. Pete agrees with me. PY agrees with me. Like, I think they're being overblown. And I think there were two instances that I thought were egregious. I thought the decision not to sneak it on 4th and inches was bad. It was a bad play call, and that might have been Kellen Moore who called the wrong play or called a bad play. And then the decision to run it on 3rd and 4 to set up a 57-yard field goal by Jake Elliott. Those two were egregious, and I will blame Kellen and I will blame Nick, whoever. I don't care. I'll blame both of them. Those were really bad. The other decisions, I have no problem with. I have zero problem with, because you can, and before we go on, because I want to watch the rest of this game, you cannot be on here bragging and being someone who has bragged about the brotherly shove being nearly unstoppable for the past 2 years, and then come on and say we shouldn't have done it. We shouldn't have gone for it when it was 1 yard out for a 2-point conversion. No, it does not work that way. It does not work that way just because of results. Basing your opinion on results instead of process is a flawed way of thinking. And that's all I have to say, because I'm missing a lot of this game. I want to watch the rest of the game. So any other thoughts about week 9 in NFL?
Yeah.
I could go another 2 hours, but whatever.
Well, I'm not. If you want to stay on, I'm going to watch the rest of this game.
The results dictate everything. If the tush push is getting figured out because Jason Kelsey's not there, you have to adjust. You can't consistently keep points off the board. They actually
converted on the first one. They converted on the first one, Brinks. They converted on the first one.
Clearly, they can.
On the first one. It was called wrong. We converted on the first one. So yeah, don't give me that it's not working anymore. Like they legitimately stopped them once. But don't give me that it stopped working. So, gentlemen, next week let's hope we'll have less to argue about when it comes to Nick Sirianni. Probably not. But we got
it's Cowboys. Keeps on giving. Like, we're always going to have a great poll question about why he's a freaking clown every week.
I'll make sure next week we don't. Make sure next week we don't, because I'm getting tired of getting my opinion misconstrued here. For myself,
welcome to the internet. Welcome to the internet, Chuck. That's never going to change.
The rest of A2D Radio. Make sure you catch us. Next week after big Cowboys. We got to win this one, guys. Got to make sure we win this one, gentlemen. But thank you for listening to the fam. And Bowser's Red, mention ATD Radio for 10% off your order. And until then, peace.